Now, I've started it back up, Chris, so we'll see what happens this time. Let's see if we pop up.
Yeah, I'll just keep refreshing the page and can
Oh,
find it out.
I got a new stream key. I think we're going live now, man.
Not yet. It's not showing up yet.
I've got it here. Breaker, anybody out there? Let's see what happens.
Mm-mm. At least not on this end.
Well, so far I see it, and Melissa Riley Roberts says yes. And I have a feeling she's in the same neighborhood I am out here. So here come some other people in here. It looks like we are going to be live, guys. We had a few technical issues, and it was all Chris's fault. Now, we have some very unusual things, and it was happening on my end. And in fact, after we got everything working, and we still don't know why it's working and it wasn't working, then we had trouble streaming. We've never had these difficulties before. I haven't. But as we're letting people get in here, somebody's here that wants to say hi. Hello. Some of you remember Ella. She's all dressed for Christmas and everything. So we picked this dog up on Neptune, by the way. This is a Neptunese dog. She loves the camera. And I have a feeling Martian Missy is somewhere behind her getting up here to get on camera. And we do not have the same haircut. I don't care what everybody says.
Well, oh.
Hers is much better. This is the sweetest dog you will ever want to meet in your life. But this is Ella Oso. Ella, you had enough? That's what I thought. Everybody, looks like we got a few people in here. I'm glad some of you stuck around. Hopefully next time this won't occur. I'm going to try to find out what's behind all this.
Yeah, I think Jimmy he's going to need a nap after the camera decided to give him a butt beating there, and he's a little exhausted now.
Well, we're going to give it just another minute or so. Let a few more people pop in here. What happened was we could have gone live, but Chris could not see me on his end live, and without that, we really can't do it. There was about a 30 or 40-second lag, and we just couldn't do it like that. And then when we got that working, then I disappeared. And it appeared that my video camera had gone kaput, which is German for kaput. And
or took a dump, whichever you want.
Yeah, but we finally got that working, and we really don't know why. There's a ghost in the machine down here that I'm gonna have to repair. And then it did not want to go live for some reason, but now it is. I don't think any strange people are behind this other than myself. It's just one of those things that we got to get ironed out. Hopefully it won't happen again. What I do want to talk about today, while I've got Chris, he was nice enough to jump in here and talk with us. By the way, if you're here today, Kara, and I'm going to say this every time until I find out that Kara is here. Last time we went live with Chris, Martian Missy was somewhere behind this wall telling me to say something. I couldn't hear what she was saying. She was saying, say hello to Kara. It's the daughter of someone that was on here, and I can't remember who it was now. And she was watching. Kara, if you're there, hello. And if you're not, we're going to keep saying hello to you till you hear it. Okay, sorry about that. Chris, what do you know?
Yes.
What do you know about? We're going to keep this a little short today, guys, because of the technical difficulties. So we're going to try to keep it under an hour. Okay. Now that we've got a few people in here, I want to ask Chris, what do you know about Apollo 13? Have you ever heard of it? That's a dumb question to ask you.
Yeah, Apollo 13. What is that? A new sandwich?
Yeah, no. It was a movie. That's what some people.
That's what it was. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was a good movie actually. It was pretty good. Well, I mean, other than there's a lot of things to see in the photos, and how there was a that's basically what I know about it. I mean, because there's just so many things to see in these photos that it's just absolutely insane. Because every time I get into these photos, I find something different, and I'm sure you have too, where it just seems like, oh, it's just a lunar surface or whatever, and the more you get into these photos, it's just mind blowing just what they're really hiding in these things.
Right. And you know, Apollo 13, who starred in that? Who played that? Was it Tom Hanks?
Yeah, I believe
Okay.
it was.
Yeah. Well, Lovell Lovell Swigert Heiss, was it Jim Heiss? Is that his name? Lovell Swigert Heiss. Those were the real guys, and they used their names in the movie.
Hmm.
As everybody knows, that was the fateful trip where they did make it back, but they were not able to land on the moon. They had to kind of do a slingshot type thing around it and do some amazing things to get back, and it was probably a lot worse and harrowing than what they made out on the movie. I know a lot of times in the movies they exaggerate things for effect, but
Yeah.
probably we don't know the half of what really went on up there. And I think that we could say that about any mission. And as many of you have seen Chris's images that he's gotten from NASA, where we can, I hate to use the word clearly because some people say, oh, you people always say clearly. Well, I don't, it's pretty doggone clear that there are artificial structures on the surface of the moon. We
Well,
don't.
and that's the meaning of it, really. When you say clearly, it means you can see something on the moon that is not lunar surface or naturally occurring.
Right. And with some of the other images that we've brought forth to you from some of the Apollo missions, as those of you who don't know, we've explained in other episodes that these images can be found. They're on the lunar. What's the dadgum web? You know what? I always forget the name of the website, and I go to it all. The Lunar and Planetary Institute
Yes.
website, LPI,
Hmm.
Lunar and Planetary Institute website, and that's where they have archived all these. And you can find a lot of stuff in there that they missed when they went and they took the pictures and posted them. So
Hmm.
the images that we were looking at last time are some incredible stuff. I've got a lot of emails about it. It was mainly from emissions 16 and 14, but Apollo 13 has, as you can imagine why, has less images than any of the other moon missions. That
Hmm.
it just does. I forgot how many. It's probably several thousand less because these guys were worried about conserving energy and making it back home. But as they did kind of slingshot around the moon, um, they were able to get some images. And I went through those and I found some fairly incredible stuff. And I want to look at those today. And I don't know if Chris has seen them or not, but I want to see what he has to say about them because I find them quite incredible. We're going to switch over to a view here that hopefully, there we are. Pay no attention to the cosmonaut. You know, people have asked me about this picture. Look, there was a picture taken of me one time, and I use it in all my helmet shots. Okay, it's just an old thing. I try to put myself in every helmet I can. I'm not going to tell you which helmets I've actually worn. Apollo 13. Chris, I think you know a lot of it just depends on how they were taking the pictures on the different missions. It looks a little bit different out the capsules. Uh,
Yeah.
and Apollo 13, a lot of them you can see. I am not sure what that section is on the upper right exactly, and you may
Hmm.
know, but we may have to research that. But it appears in a lot of the pictures.
Yeah.
But what I want to look at here, by the way, there they are. That's the real guys.
Hmm.
This image, as we pull in here, this was I want everyone to notice the image of the moon, lower left. We're going to zoom on into the lower left section. Do that a little slower so everyone can see. This is 8747 is the number of the image. Okay, and you can already see here, hopefully, that there's three things on this that just don't look right to me. And the first thing I thought was, well, this is something on the emulsion. Something's wrong with the film here. But when I zoomed in closer, I quickly realized that that wasn't what was going on. Now, let's see. Now you can see where those arrows are. Let's zoom into one of these. Now, this is exactly the way they have it on their archives, in their archives. The one on the lower left. Wait, I tell you what, before we do that, Chris, do you see that on the along the left side? Do you see this? I'm going to run an arrow up and down it here. You know that film you were talking about? The
Right.
transparency? I
Yeah.
think we can plainly see it right here. I don't think it got the whole thing covered. And people got to understand
Right.
what they were doing was they were putting transparencies over these images. This is where a lot of the scrubbing took place, and they rephotographed these things. You know, there's people
Yep.
in there that were doing this that have talked about this a little bit, not too much. And I believe we have caught this transparency right here because you can see the actual color and texture of the moon along that far left side. And you got to wonder what they were hiding. They weren't trying to hide these three, what I believe are, we're just going to call them UFOs, because they are still here. And we're going to zoom into them. It's going to get a little clearer. And there's one of them. That's the one on the bottom left. I do not believe that is a motion on the screen. I don't think it's a droplet of water on the screen. There it is closer.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it looks like something was out there, and I do not think it was ours. The second one is going to be, yes, in the middle of the screen. It's going to come in right about here after I zoomed in. You know, there we go. That, I'm going to call it space object, has a three-dimensional look to me. It looks uniform on this end and that end. There's something on the top of it. Is my cursor present?
Yep.
Okay. This area here and this area here seem to be uniform on each end of it with a connection here and then something out the top of it. This almost looks like a flap down on this side, and I can't tell if this is conical, tubular, or what, but it seems to be connecting the two sides. It does not look like a flake of something on the film. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a moment.
I was just looking at the live feed. Oh, there it goes. I was just gonna say I was looking at the live feed. I couldn't see the cursor, but now it's on there. Okay, we're good. Just want to be sure.
And I want to look at the third one, then I want to get a comment from you, Chris. This is the third one. Now, one of the things I found interesting here is someone named Bill Douglas, who let me know that I needed to go back and look at Crow 777, one of his crafts that he's caught through his telescope going across the face of the moon where you could see thrusters. And I wish I could bring that up right here. That craft looks amazingly similar to this one. And you got to wonder, these guys, do they need thrusters? I mean, or was this, or were these Earth craft that we don't know about? One way or the other, I'm having trouble believing that if
See
these
that one there to me looks like some kind of wing craft. That's what it looks like to me. The second one, it's really kind of vague, and the third one actually looks pretty interesting too. Like, you can usually tell a smudge, and it kind of like we can. I think to me the second one is a 50-50, but this one here looks like some kind of weird craft because it almost looks symmetrical on both sides. See that? Like on the top, looks like there's a wing there and a wing on the bottom. At least it kind of looks that way.
Yes, it does.
The second one, third one has this weird bluish grayish look to it.
Now that's the second one.
Yep.
And then here's the third one.
Yep. Now the bluish gray one, that one there, it looks like almost like picture like an inlet to like the SR-71 for the engines. And it had like a point sticking out of the center of it. Picture that round circle with a point sticking out of the middle. It kind of has that weird look to it. Now, like I said, those two seem to be, something in there other than what they would pass off as a smudge or some kind of defect in the actual acetate, because that's what that's basically laid over that photo.
Right, and we could probably find something like that. Here, see this object here?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's zoom into that and see. Now, when you take this and you apply an effect to it, all up and down here, this is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
That looks to me like a problem with the film. I
Yeah,
don't know if that's
that's
a hair
the
or
way I
what.
see it.
Something's happened here. I've tried that with the others, and this doesn't happen. This doesn't occur. So
Mhm.
let's move along here. Oh, by the way, we got two. Oh, okay. Here we go. I'm sorry. This is the same image. Now, anybody who was wondering, go back here. This was, what was this image number?
Is it 48?
Eight
Yeah, I'll
seven
say eight.
four
Yeah.
seven is
I saw the
87.
48 earlier.
Yeah, that's where you can find this. In the same image in the upper right hand corner, I had all these lined up. Yeah, here we go. Upper right hand corner, right there. Now I found something, and this is one of those things where I did have to change it because uh, I worked the brightness, contrast, or exposure on this to see if I could pull something else out. Unlike the others, where that is just the way that it's there. I mean,
Hmm.
anybody wants to argue that, we'll go back and show you the ones that, hey, it's there without any enhancement whatsoever. After I enhance this one just a little bit, and when I say enhancement, I'm just talking about brightness and contrast. What we get, I think we come back to that one because I moved to the left. Okay, here we are. This object right here. Now, this is the way it appears. And when I worked the brightness and contrast, I got that. Trying to figure out if this was a spot on the, on like I say, the emulsion or the acetate or whatever, and you really can't tell, but it really seems to take on a definitive shape. And I'm going to show you more of these. And if this is something that's out there, what happens is you catch a little bit of light and it'll just look like a dot out there or maybe a star until you change the exposure or the brightness contrast, and you can see a little bit more of what was caught with that light.
Hmm.
Now, this is still that same image. And what we're doing here is I ran this through a filter to try to get close to the color and texture that we had along the edge where you could see that it looked like the film was sitting, the edge of the film. So I
Right.
ran this through a good contrast filter because I could tell that a lot of the detail was still there. We just needed to bring it back out. And when you do
Hmm.
this, it's really kind of amazing because I think there's a good chance down here. And again, there's nothing definitive because of what I've had to do. But when you really start to look, you can see that it appears there's things that appear to be sticking up and then out at 90-degree angles down here. There's objects on the surface, I believe. We can't get any more detail out of it, so there's nothing definitive. But if you wonder what they would have been covering up with that translucent, not it this film doesn't appear to have been transparent. It appears to be translucent
Hmm.
because it's adding a haze to it. I don't know if they did that every time or not, but on this mission in these images, the film seems to add. That's the only way I know to put it. It makes it hazy, so it would be
Right.
a translucent film. Why would they do that? Well, I think it's because there's stuff down there, and we can't bring it out much more than this, and we're kind of guessing. But looking at this and then looking at the stuff that Chris has, I'd say that there's something down in that crater most likely, and that's a big difference right there. This is more
Oh
of the
yeah.
way I would expect it to look anyway than this. Think about it, folks. The moon is not a mirror, and
And it's not that bright.
no, it's not that bright. And we see it from here, but what are they saying that the Earth looks like from there? Is that what the Earth looks like? This blue marble. They say, "I look like a blue marble." When you look around at the ground, do you see blue? No, you don't. So when they're getting up here close to the moon, they're not going to see a big bright light anymore. They're going to see the surface for what it is, and I believe it's a lot more
Hmm.
like this. And let's move along here to Apollo 13 8759. Once again, you see the moon all nice and bright, lit up like a night light. Now, you're talking about flying craft. Okay, let me show you where this is. And I know what someone's going to say right off. Well, that could just be something on the lens on the film. But I've got more than one of these. Let's say that is something out there between the moon and the orbiter. What would it look like to you, Chris? If let's say we knew that was something out there. I mean,
It's kind of like I said, it's one of those 50-50 things
Mm-hmm.
again. Now, if this was some kind of craft, it would kind of make sense because depending on the angle that this thing is turned or flying, which have you, yeah, those could be the wings sticking out, the longest parts, and then there's something sticking out of the back of it. Um, and like I said, it's one of those kind of things that are so it's kind of vague. It's kind of like you see it there and you're going, okay, this could be either or, because and truthfully, you can say, well, this could be either some kind of defect in the photo. It could have been on the emulsion itself or the actual acetate itself. Um, Again, a lot of these Apollo photos were just stored in like regular manila folders. And so, they're in a file cabinet, it's hard to tell. Now, the way that thing looks, if you get something that looks symmetrical, pretty darn close. You go, okay, what's the chances of that though? So that's where the question comes in. So you got to try to analyze it both ways. Um, because I've seen a lot of things myself on some of these photos. They look absolutely insane. Like you've seen that long, what looked like a hair type thing on there. And then you get these weird things on top of the photos as well. So this one, it kind of looks like it's almost symmetrical in a sense where, like I said, depends on the position this thing is flying. If it is in fact a craft, and it could very well be the wings of this thing.
Well, Solvent Biocide says it's a Romulan ship, and then we've got Nitro F's. C1 says a Klingon ship. Yeah, I know you got the bird of prey, and then you got the Klingon ship with the neck sticking out of
Kind
it.
of does look like the bird of prey, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, this let's look at this. This is 8759. That's that image number.
Yep.
Now let's go to 8763. I apologize I didn't write the times down. This is within minutes that this picture was taken. Okay? Now
Hmm.
look at this. Let me show you where this is. I think there's a chance that it's the same thing.
It kind of does. It looked like it actually rolled and made some kind of maneuver and it's in a different position now.
Yes, it does, and that's what I was looking for. And there's a comparison of the two. This is like
How do we know, Jimmy, just for the hell of it? We talk about the Black Knight a lot of times. How do we know there's not some weird things, just flying around the moon itself? And it might have been some kind of old, you know, orbiter or something like that. I mean, we don't know. I mean, we're just going by what NASA and all of these space agencies tell us. But they also didn't say anything about the Black Knight satellite until everybody figured that out. And again, these could be just simple orbiters or some kind of weird. What's the word I want to use other than an orbiter? Like if you would have sent, if you were, I said this in my live feed. How do we know like the Black Knight wasn't sent here by another civilization to check out
right.
what's on our planet, just like we're doing on Mars and other planets? We have orbiters around Mars. We have landers on Mars. We have you name it. And so how do we know that this Black Knight, kind of similar to this, might be where they're keeping an eye on our civilization? We just, you know, it's just there from somewhere else.
That's correct. And this is why I'm looking at this first image that I showed as quite possibly something that's there, is because of this one taken just within a minute or so. Because I still see, if this were the first, I think people look at this and see it. It looks like something with wings sticking out. It's probably nothing like that, whatever it is, even if it's out there. And they're going to see either a neck sticking out here, or a neck and a tail, one end or the other. Well, you've got the same thing here. You've got these two. It looks like forward-facing wings. If this were the head, wouldn't it? These would be wings that were heading forward. Well, if this was the neck of it, they're still going forward. If my
Well, we
guess,
could be seeing the back end of that thing too. We don't know if that
right,
short appendage is the back end of it.
right. My guess is, because these images were just a few images apart within minutes, and they aren't in the same spot. I mean, they look different. It looks to me like it is something that's out there that has moved. There's no
Yep.
way to tell what. I mean, even if we had a better, we had a real good image of a couple of things in the last episode, and we don't know what those things are. But I think we've established what we consider a fact, is there were other craft up there. Whether or not this is one or not, I don't know. But considering we've got two images, I think we need to add that to the list of possibilities at least. If it were just one, I would
Hmm.
say, we're not going to, Uh, this same image, other things you can do, folks, when you look at these things. This is 8763, and we've got this out there. What is that? I don't know. Is that something on the film?
I don't know.
I
That's a
mean,
tough one too, because
it's a
it might be something that's just reflective, highly reflective off to the side of the moon, and it might be highly reflective, and it just happened to show this weird bright light.
right, and I don't know what light it's reflecting. Is this reflecting the sun, or is this reflecting?
Well, that would be my choice. If it was be anything, it'd be the brightest thing out there in space, right? Or it could be just the light being reflected off of Earth. Depends on how close, and you know what I mean.
Now, yes, I do. What image do we have here? Hold on, we got another image coming up here. Okay, this is from 8763. These are all Apollo 13. Now, keep in mind, these guys took these images. They didn't know if they were going to live or die and get back with these things or not. You know,
Hmm.
these guys were puckered up. I mean, come on. Once again, I want you to notice to the left, they did not get the film all the way over, and you're going to see the edge right there.
Yep.
I believe that is the actual photograph underneath, 70 millimeter. And
Oh
they,
yeah, you'd definitely be correct. I've seen this numerous
yes,
photos
yeah,
that you can see it's darker and you almost see it's more defined. We can just see a little bit of detail, and then all of a sudden it goes into this white trash. Uh, I mean, for all we know, this could be like a whiteout kind of thing. It's kind of like a little bit of white, and it takes out the darker shadows or the darker lines, so it gives it more of a it's just a weird look. You know what I mean? If you take any photo, take the dark colors or the darkness out of them, any kind of dark lines, what does it look like? It turns into complete like a flat photo as opposed to in depth and have all kinds of lines showing these things. You know?
exactly. And I've done something here to try to just try to dig through this. I don't know, Hoswash, I call it. Isn't that what they used to call the area from? Do they still do that from Washington D.C. all the way up through New York? You know, they used to call that Hoswash because from space it was just this big white mist because there were so many lights. You ever heard that? Did you learn that
Hmm.
in school, or they just teach that down here to us?
Yeah, it probably had a different name, but it's pretty much the same.
Yeah. Well, when you take a image like this that we know that they put something over and you try to apply a really good contrast filter, it's really hard. You can start imagining things, but it really seems to take a 3D shape in here. It looks to me
Hmm.
like this, which is completely innocent, and that to me is not innocent anymore. I start looking at this, and right here, I don't see a crater anymore. I see something else going on. I see uh, dome or round, uh, I don't know what they are, uh, possibly sticking out of, what is that? I can't tell what anything is. I see an area here that appears to be raised off the surface coming out here.
Almost looks like some kind of tube type thing,
It
some kind
does.
of
It really
yeah.
does. It really does. And you might want to tell people why one of the common questions is, well, why don't we see stuff like that all the time through our telescopes? You know,
Yeah.
people wonder that. You know, a telescope, a lot of times if you take the image and apply filters live, you can, but there's a lot of light interference. When you're
Yeah.
zooming in on the moon, they say it's what, 238,000 miles away, if it's that even the right distance. There's a lot of light interference from here, from our
Hmm.
own, from your cities, from our own atmosphere, and then the moon itself, whether it's reflecting this light, whether it's emitting this light. There's a lot of argument about that. There's light there, we know this, and that
Hmm.
interferes with it. So you can't get the detail of the surface from here like you might want. They could get it.
Right.
They were right here next to it. They could get it. So what these guys did is they went and said, we're going to throw a film over this because everybody else ain't seeing it. But
Right.
it's going to look more like what we're showing right here. There is a lot of stuff going on the surface of the moon.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's mind-boggling if people actually would see just some of the stuff that's going on on this moon. It's just absolutely insane. And when you really break these photos down, like you can see that's why I call it whitewashed and censored and everything other thing. And when you really break these photos down, the stuff that's in there is absolutely phenomenal. Again, hide the details, hide the lines. You're none the wiser, especially if you can zoom in on a particular photo and have some decent quality. When I say decent quality, I think a lot of these were low res to begin with, and a lot of them were also, like I said, they were, manipulated in some way, shape, or form.
Well,
Got the acetate over them and stuff like that. I mean, enough to trick the eyes.
that's true. And Stephen Porter here mentions that it would really be nice if they would just release all the originals. You can forget that. And that supposedly is what they were doing here. You understand? They went and archived over 20,000 that images, mostly images we've never seen. And
Yeah.
just most of these things were put away. And you got to imagine in the 60s, early 70s, they didn't think anyone was going to have the
Nope.
ability to go through images like this. And then here, 10, 15, whatever years ago, they decided to archive them. You get another group of people going there and they're archiving these pictures. They're taking pictures of the picture, digitizing them, which is already a picture of the
Right.
original with something over the top of it. So
Exactly.
what happened? Where did those originals go? We got guys like Ken Johnson that says, well, some of them were thrown in the trash. He was told to do it himself.
Yep.
We've talked to this guy, Chris and I both have, and he says, yeah, it happened. And we're really not, even with this, we're still not seeing the original image. So yeah, it'd be nice, but then again, you know,
Yeah, good
dream
luck with
on.
that, because the only way you could do that is if you had somebody that was basically, touching elbows with these guys. And, when Ken Johnston Sr. Had these, he's got them up on his site. You can get those. And it's funny because I'd done many moon videos, and there was one that it was so washed out, but once I brought it out, you can see what looked like structures and things just laying about, like, dilapidated, just laying on its side or something like that. And these were through Ken Johnston's photos that he has archived. And what's funny about it is you look at the new ones today, they're even more washed. And he claims that, and I don't know if he said he had the first gen, but they're not first gen. Those are second gen. And so they have a manipulation to them. But it seems to me what they're doing is okay. They're saying, like you said earlier, and even more, they're saying, okay, we didn't think they were going to have the technology, nor do we think that people were going to start getting Photoshop and reversing what we had done to these photos. So therefore, these people are starting to see this. We can't have this happen. So why don't we do this? Go back through the photos. This is the reason why. And I haven't actually did that. I did a side by side of what Ken had and what that one, the newer one, came out. It was complete trash. The new ones are junk. I mean, no detail whatsoever, washed out. It was like a 2D, not even a 3D image anymore. It was complete garbage.
Chris, here's another. What do you think about this?
I see the two of them in there. That one there's got more of the one on the lower left. It has that kind of shiny, reflective look to it, almost like a steel, if you will.
And once
And
again,
the other one there is it's got some really wild looking colors to it.
yeah, if you notice, once
Um,
again, you can see the what I believe is the film. We
yep.
back this up again and show exactly where this is once more time. I keep on backing up too far. I got these images spread across. It's 8755 is the number, and there they are right there. You can see the film
Yep.
now. Now zooming in on this one, it doesn't do much good. Everything just kind of. There's the second one. That was 1 and 2, 1 lower left, 2 upper right. But that's not all that's in this. I like this one a lot more. Man, look at that.
Yeah.
Now, I know
That's
it's got a lot of
interesting.
trash and garbage around it right here, but that almost looks like a capsule. But
And it almost looks like the vector sign in it, where you got it
yeah,
looks like it's
it
round and has
does.
that V shape inside it.
It does. Let's back out again because that gets some eye fatigue on that. Right about out there. That's a good shot of it. Right about. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do it like this. There it is.
You know what I think happened a long time ago? I think a lot of these, think about this. It's kind of like the same stunt they pulled with the Black Knight satellite. Now, if you look at those photos, they
Mm-hmm.
are absolutely indeed, most of them are the thermal blanket, the one that got away from the actual astronaut when they were trying to put this one over the trunnion pin. These go over two trunnion pins, and one of them come off. And he tried to grab it, and the thing flew off into space.
Right.
But what they didn't realize is they found something else in the photo as they were taking these pictures, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's the thermal blanket." And after really enhancing this thing or just highlighting that area, that thing is no blanket. Now, when you see the Black Knight photos, most of them are actually the actual thermal blanket. They're not lying. But the ones, there's a couple of them that when you bring them out and bring up the exposure, no way. This thing's got some mass to it. It is not a flat blanket with a like a sewed-in piece there to accommodate the trunnion pin. No way. This thing is absolutely. And I brought this out, and like I said, we're doing a documentary. Me and my buddy Billy Carson, and he's going to have, I believe, Ken Johnston Sr. on it as well. And when you bring this thing out, it's just insane. So I think what they're doing in these photos is like, let's say you got 3 of these things in here, and 2 of them are smudges, actual film smudges. The other one may not be. And
Right.
the first thing they're going to say is, "Oh no, these are all just crap on the film," and they may very well be right. It's something on the film that's just garbage, and it kind of looks and has that weird look to it where you go, "That looks like some kind of craft," and then you see one of them. There's no doubt it's a craft, and then you go, and then you just go, "No, that's just crap on the film itself or
It's
whatever."
like the drumps who made the crop circles, right? We've talked about this.
There you go.
Oh
There you go.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. I tell you what, these guys that are making them now are on more than alcohol. That's some super psychedelics.
Oh
Those
man, these
guys.
guys are
Yeah,
gifted.
I need some of that, man. These guys are, woo. You talk about being able to maintain when drunk and on acid, because these things are phenomenal.
The
I honestly,
precision on them things are insane. Come on, come on.
but it was the drunk. That's all they had to say. You know, that's the way
Yeah,
it works. You know, you got to be careful. I've told people before. Oh no, it's like, oh no, people are making a big deal out of so and so. Just wait. Give it about a month. Give it about a month, and
yep.
they're going to discredit everything with that. So, and we got a few people arguing about the bird of prey and the Klingon ship. I hope everyone understands here. Um, I know for me the reason that I like the movies like Star Wars and I watch Star Trek and all that is because I was interested in how they fooled people. I love movie sets. I love props. You know,
Right.
I don't. Chris, you saw it. I was by the DeLorean the other day. Back to the
Yeah.
Future, there where I was in Tennessee, they had it there and got to see, you know, how this thing really worked, and it was pretty neat. You know, there's actually a couple of capacitors. I should have taken a picture of it. They've got 2 big capacitors on the back of this thing with wires hooked to them. The flux parts on the inside, the capacitors on the
Yeah.
outside. Hey,
Exactly.
who'd have
Yeah.
known? It's a couple of electrolytic capacitors, is what they were.
Yeah. That's all
That's
they
all
are.
it takes to go back in time, man. You know, and then all the gigawatts of electricity or whatever. But no, it interests.
1.21 gigawatts.
Yeah, so electricity. It really interests me how things are made, how things are
Yeah.
shot and filmed, and how people are getting fooled. Because you know, other than where Chris is sitting, like we said, he's really on a starship and making it look like he's in his living room. We're not trying to fool anybody anywhere past maybe where some of us are sitting part of the time. You
Yeah.
know, these images, we're trying to get to the truth here. And someone mentioned, thank you for bringing us the truth. Well, we're not really bringing you the truth. What we're bringing you is, how would you describe it, Chris? It's things to open
Just
your eyes
evidence.
to look for the truth. Well, it's little bits and pieces of it.
Right.
But, you know, we actually know so little of it, it would be almost impossible to bring you the truth. We're bringing you little pieces of it. It's
Yeah.
certainly not false what we're bringing you, you know, and we're trying to make it where more people understand that we're not alone. We never have been alone. And I hate to use the word, but there is a conspiracy. I mean, there is a conspiracy to keep that from you. I'm sorry, but it's true. If there are any conspiracies in this world, that is
It's
one
a
of them.
suppression of the truth.
Man, I'm telling
That's
you.
what it is.
And
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. I mean, it's, when you really stop and think about it, and we've been, in fact, a lot of my subs are on here, and they're also sub to yours. We were talking about Antarctica and how our good friend now is gone, Sarah Michelle, that the research he had done on this stuff is amazing. And I told people, I said, in some of my videos, I said, listen, I started off with Mars, but I've always been looking at the moon photos. And then I decided to start doing the moon. Why? Because it all started here on the moon. Because now, in other words, let's say you and I are back in the day and we're looking through these giant telescopes and we see something on there that doesn't belong. So it looks like a structure or it looks like some kind of craft, maybe dilapidated, sitting on its side on the moon. So you decide, okay, we got to get there. We got to check this stuff out. But now we find out we're being lied to on a huge scale here on Earth. So we are being suppressed. Our past is being suppressed. So it starts here, starts to the moon, and then it's again. If they're going to lie about what's on here on Earth, because here's a good question for everybody: if they're going to bring out the truth of ancient civilizations here, so you got the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Egyptians. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? So if you got all of these and they're bringing them to light, wow, look what we found in the Amazon jungles. Look what we found that was underground that you've got mud put over it, and they're finding this with lidar and regular radar and everything else, and ground penetrating radar and stuff like that. Why wouldn't they bring out the structures or the civilization that's in Antarctica? Why? Because it's not what you would think it is. It's not just stone. It's not just garbage. It's actually high tech crap and buildings and everything else. And like I said, I got a video. I'm going to try like heck to get it out. I said it'd be out this evening or this afternoon. It might have to wait until maybe tonight or maybe tomorrow. But I literally, when Sarah and I were going back and forth with these photos, I seen some crazy stuff in there. And told her that I'll give you 3 guesses who owns these photos of Antarctica. Just 3, but you're only going to need 1. Guess who owns them? NASA.
That's right.
Imagine that. So when you
Imagine
see
that.
it, you're going to see the manipulation that's put on some of these mountains. They're not mountains at all, guys. Why would they suppress that if it's nothing more than just ancient civilizations? Unless there's much more to it, meaning high tech, and not what you think like you see in the pyramids. Even though that looks high tech too, the way they put that together. So yeah, really, really interesting stuff, guys. We just don't really know our beginnings, our origins, until you start to really study this stuff. And it's just, like I said, we are just part of something much larger. And it's just awesome to be able to, bring her work out, because she's really put her blood, sweat, and tears into that thing. And I couldn't applaud her enough. And I know, Jimmy, we were both instrumental in helping each other out. And so wasn't
Absolutely.
Sarah as well. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to say hello to Pete and Julia if you're out there today, if y'all are looking in. And
Yeah.
Ella is back. Now, look, what do you see right there?
I see an orb.
Yeah, there's a blue dot out there. And this is another one of those that I was really suspicious of. I wanted to see what might be behind that. And that's what we have. Now,
Hmm.
what I did was I increased the exposure on this.
Yep.
The reason I think this may be there is because there is a reflection to begin with.
Hmm.
And that is this spot right here. That's all we saw.
Yep.
And then we
You
get
can actually
this.
still see that now when you go back to the original. You can still actually see the outline of
You
that
can
now.
still actually see it.
Yep.
So is it a coincidence that we had something glowing right there and there happens to be something wrong with the film around it? That's a possibility. But considering everything else we've seen, I leave this out there with that may be something totally bizarre. And if it is, it appears to be over that horizon slightly. And once again, we wouldn't know how big it would be because we don't have a
Mhm.
full reference. We don't know how far over the horizon it is. If it's way far over, then I got to say it's quite big. But this is one of those, I don't know, but I have not tossed it out yet. And there's another one like this, 8749. Actually, that it's not like that. These are some that well, just take a look here. You know, I don't know. Could be something on the film. If that's the only thing I ever saw, I would say that's probably what it is. But I
Mhm.
don't know. Here's one from 8751. Now, once I zoom in, it looks really awkward, but I want you to there was one or two of the images from the last one that actually looked a lot like this one. There was one where it was from Apollo 14 where there was a craft in the upper left that looked like it had a flat bottom on it that looked a whole lot like this one. So I'm not throwing this out.
Right.
Not yet. And here, I wanted to say it was just a spot on the film, but I don't know. These are just, and once again, now this one, again, it looks like it looks like it could be metallic, round in shape with protrusions, or it could
Yeah,
be.
it's got more of a triangular shape as opposed to just a
It does.
blotch.
It does.
Because a blotch to
I
me, and
see that
everybody will
now.
agree, it's like that could be anything, right? A blotch could be exactly that. But when you see something that's got a decent shape to it, and I mean that, like I said, this is more of a triangular as opposed to just a blotch. You could be really 50-50 and swaying towards something that's actually intelligently made as opposed to just a blotch.
Absolutely. In this one, when I'm looking out there, I feel like, especially this, that it could be the silhouettes of crafts,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just you can't get anything else out of it other than the shape. Here's from
Right.
8728, still Apollo 13, of course, and this is very interesting, and I think you can see why.
Yep. Yep. You can see it right off the bat. It looks like something's there, and there's casting a shadow on
Yeah,
the ground.
someone asked that earlier. Says, "Where's the shadows?" Well, they weren't necessarily in a position to cast a shadow. I believe this object may very well be in a position to cast a shadow,
Yep.
which tells me it's probably pretty close to the surface if that's all that shadow is. Either that or the sun is pretty much directly above it. It's really hard to tell. See if we can tell before we zoomed in. I guess not. I'm going to say that's probably pretty close to the surface.
Yeah.
And I did
It'd have to be, because that shadow is not extremely small. I don't think it's that far off the surface of that moon at all.
And if you'll notice this, I don't see if you got the resolution to see it after the transmission, but it appears to have almost like two fins sticking off the back, which would be here, and we're not going to be able to see it from here, but I think it matches the shape.
I was just going to say, too, if you look at that carefully, you can see they went over that with a marker. Try to zoom into that a little bit more.
Yeah,
it looks like they went over something, like they blotched it purposely, and yet you can see what looks like a shadow being cast on the bottom. So did they take it out so you couldn't see any detail to that thing? Yeah. And yet there's a shadow to it?
There we go. How about that?
They blotched that out. There's no doubt in my mind. You could just see the way they did that.
Now. Yeah, they sure did. And isn't that strange that they did that? I mean, that's really lazy. First of all, you got to film over it. Why not just, it's like, I'm just going to blotch it out. Nobody's going to care. And
they're not going to care, yeah.
They were just supposed to do this in case anyone ever saw it. They didn't know that all these weren't necessarily released.
Right.
Nobody had access to these. And now you have access to it, and they've just, it happened how it happened. But if I were to guess, I would say that object is casting a shadow, and they blotted it out right there, but they left it. Yes, you can really see right here how this is kind of just a blot.
Oh, yeah, they just went over that. Just went like that, circled around, just put scribble in it, and that was the end of that.
Yeah, and that's the way they
went. Kind of like what you had on the horizon, like when you had the Terminator of the moon.
Yes.
Where you had that orb. Well, think about this a minute. You got an orb there, but it looks like they highlight and kind of went around. So whatever that orb is, might be part of something that's on that Terminator line of it. It might have been quite large structures or something standing up, but they just kind of scribbled it out just so you couldn't see that, only just the dot. So you could have said, oh, that's just another planet behind the moon. You know what I mean? Just something way off.
8736.
Now that looks like the Black Knight. Kind of had that Black Knight look to it. And I'll drink to that.
Yeah, what do you guys think about this one? My wife or somebody said,
like I said, it's got an uncanny look like the Black Knight.
Yeah, someone said it looked like a lawnmower. I'm trying to remember who it was, and I understand where they're coming from. They get a lawnmower, a push lawnmower.
A lunar mower.
Yeah,
there you
go. When you got to actually stand up and walk behind Chris, not sit on like you got.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to cut that lunar dirt. It starts getting a little, gets a little thick.
But this is pretty bizarre because you can see through it. I mean, what the hell is this? I mean, and I think it's that brown coloring. They may have colored over this one too, but I don't know, because you think they would have just blotched it all out. That's probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I've had people tell me, I don't know how many times, but there's not a single image from the Apollo missions that shows anything out there. And, they've never gone and looked. They've never gone and looked. All they know is the few images that they've seen through the years that have been released to the news agencies and this and that. Those were carefully looked over. Unlike to a degree, because the one of the far side of the moon obviously wasn't, because we brought out that the space station that's
kind of looking thing,
not a curvature looking. Yeah, that's what we're calling it, because we don't really know. Chris, do you have something on there that you wanted to share today? Well, we got everybody.
Yeah, let me see something here. I was just noticing a couple comments in there. I'm not sure exactly what his name, but Kiki, whatever your name is. Anytime you want to match wits, my friend, let me know. So these two guys just don't know shit. Really? Okay. Well, I know enough to say that I've been looking at these photos long enough to know there's something much more up there. And if you want to believe that, that's up to you. Now, check this out. I want to show you this video. Now, of course, I'll give credit where it's due, of course. Let me see if I can find this. I don't know if this is in the same one here.
I'll give you
right here. Okay. The credit goes to John Leonard Walson. A lot of you guys are familiar with his work. Now, I want to show you something I found really. There was actually a sub of mine said, Chris, you got to check this out. This is really bizarre. And what you're going to see, I'm going to make it full screen, and it's right on the right-hand side of this. Wait until you see the crater that comes out of this. This is cool. A funky-looking crater. Again, it'll be right here on the right-hand side. It's going to be coming up. You're going to see it just pop into the screen. Right about here, coming up now. Right there. Look at that on the right-hand side. What the hell is that? It literally looks like it has a shot, the shape of a stop sign, but yet rounded at the bottom. Now, watch this. I'm going to just back it up a little bit. I'm going to hide this because we don't need to be showing that. Let me just back it up a little bit. And then watch what he does. Once he goes onto that, it's going to go to the left of the screen. He's going to, it looks like he kind of changes the position. It rotates his telescope. Watch this. Here it is. This thing is off the ground, guys. This is not a crater. Look at this. See the shadow to it. You can see the shadow casting. This thing is off the ground. And it looks like there's some weird kind of shapes. Look at the shapes all around this on that upper left corner. That thing is like a shape of a stop sign. Please explain that. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't see this stuff, but this is firsthand. And this is the closest I've ever seen anybody get into the moon at all.
Well, we already...
And he's not magnifying it. He's literally just getting into the moon. In other words, he's not taking his own digital photography and then magnifying it or zooming into that. He's literally just showing this right here.
Right, and we've been talking about this for a while. One of the things I brought forth in They're Here, Giant Alien Craft in our solar system, was that we have hexagonal. This isn't normal to me either, right here, if you can see my...
Hold on, let me just...
This wasn't normal either. We have hexagonal shaped craters and other things, not just on the moon, but on Mercury. And that's nearly what this is, except for this part here that is like a lip wall that's up off the ground, throwing a shadow.
Yeah. So I just did this in a slow-mo so people could see this. That is insane. There's no way that this thing's natural. It's no way. You can literally see that it's not. Let me see here.
No.
Oops. Let's say stop sharing. Go back to you. There we go. Okay. So we're back to the screen that you have.
Well, where'd you go?
You know, I was still showing that other one, slow speed. That other one with that looks like a stop sign kind of.
Right. It was there just a second ago. I don't know what happened there.
And I put it in slow speed and showed it again, and you can see it right there. It's like there's no way. Oh, you just took it out of there. Okay. So at least that's what they're saying. So the thing is, it's like I don't think people really know what's going on, and some people will tell you you're full of crap. But you know what? Do the research, my friend, and you're gonna find out this stuff is real as can be. Now, some of the stuff people just go out of their way to make stuff false. That's fine. You know, I'm not going to do that. When I see real stuff or stuff that clearly is not natural, I'm going to bring it to the people. And of course, they can make their decision what it is.
Well, how many non-circular, supposedly impact craters have we found? I mean, it's countless. They don't even know how many craters are on the moon. That's just estimation. They don't even know. There are hexagonal craters, openings, all over the moon. There's hexagonal craters I've seen at least one on Mercury. They're on Ceres, the Ceres, what is it? Another, you can't be a planet. On Jupiter's, on Saturn's, several of Saturn's moons. In fact, some of them are huge. I mean, huge. That's a whole episode in itself. These things are miles and miles and miles across. and they are, you know, six-sided. They're
Exactly.
hexagons, just like this would have been what you just showed, except for the bottom of it. It looked like it was hexagonal, but
Hmm.
the bottom of it was rounded and lipped up
Yep.
like a wall.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
so what somebody's doing is getting down closer to the surface here. That was not. A lot of times people say, well, that's just, you know, things are pixelating, and that's what digital imagery does. Yeah, we know digital imagery. We know digital imagery does some strange stuff, and we
Yeah.
we try not to show you that because we've seen plenty of it. I don't think that's what that was at all, and it was definitely off the ground. You could see the shadow from it.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, and I've always said this. I wonder if whoever was on the moon, if they, and I believe this is the case anyway, but I think what they do is they utilize the lunar surface, to their benefit. So was this kind of weird shaped? Was that some kind of a dish, some kind of giant satellite dish? Who the hell knows what this thing is? But clearly, that thing's not round and it's off the ground. Explain that. And that's where stuff gets real puzzling. And you combine it with the stuff we found in the moon. And in fact, the last hangout we did, we had those large structures there. The whole area was full of structures. If anybody's got a better explanation what that stuff is, by all means, speak up. We're listening. Because I know better. I've been looking at these, and I know you have too. And it's just there's some things you just can't explain away.
Keep talking about that a second. I'm trying to find one of these.
Well, I was just going to say,
Well, I'm going to tell you, I've seen something similar to what you just showed, and I think
yeah.
it was on Sears. And of course, that thing's a mystery in itself. They really don't talk about it much anymore.
I'm just going to actually, while you're looking for that, give a couple of shout outs to a lot of my subs that are here. You got all kinds of people: Nacho Libre, Mimi Reacts. I mean, there's a whole bunch of Jaws D's in there, um, Equalizers in there,
Yep.
and I believe a lot of these guys are actually subs to you as well. Stephen Porter, like you said. Uh, Somebody asked about did they destroy the Black Knight? Truthfully, I don't know. I'd be lying to you if I thought so, if I knew. No, I have no clue, and I don't know if the things because at some point they said this thing literally followed the Apollo mission one time to the moon and it was running in a polar orbit. Now, how true that is, I can't prove it. I mean, all I can say is that's what I heard, and from the photos that I've seen, this thing is real. Where is it now? Has it been destroyed? I don't know why they would if they're thinking, you know what, just leave it alone. For all that, they're probably thinking, for all we know, the damn thing could turn into like a Trojan horse and something come out of that thing and destroy the planet. I'm just, for all we know, right? And of course, it's pure speculation, but it's still wild.
I'll bring up the others on another day, but if you start looking at these craters of the moon, and this is one of the images from the far side, you'll see that they're not all circular. They have these defined. A lot of them they're six-sided.
Hmm.
Let's see, we come up through here. This one is as well. You can see the
Yep.
straight, and we don't know how old these are. This one, nobody's ever been able to explain what's going on. It's not six-sided, but it's pretty bizarre. Chris, this right here looks similar, other than it's rounded here. Notice this is raised right here in
Mm.
a similar fashion, but we're looking at it from a different angle. And then if you look up here, right here. What appears to be circular, but look at this. This does not look like a circular part. I believe this is raised, and we've got the same angles here and here, and I believe this is a raised area. As you can see the shadow down in here, this looks like a raised wall to this.
Yeah.
It would almost have that stop sign shape if we turned it. And if you look through here, you're going to see, let's come down through here. Well, we already looked at that, those edges there, edges here, under here.
Well, and I've said this before. Anybody who's interested in the
Here's one
moon,
of
now
them.
go back
Here's
to
one
the.
of them down here, Chris. See how it's
Oh yeah.
raised up on this side? This one, that other one I showed, I think are very similar to what you were talking about. They're raised on one side, and you can see the shadow here. And we'll have to find another shot of it. Here's another one that's six-sided right here, a smaller one that's six-sided. And a lot of them, if you look,
These straight walls kind of thing, yeah.
yeah, and a lot of them are lined up too. And a lot of them appear to be just vague, such as this one. They're not quite there anymore, or never were really there. But
you could stop at any random part of this. Stop right there. Right. Go back to where you were. Right there. I want everybody to take a look at these craters. Okay. Two things are going on. One, every single rock that hits that moon seems to be coming straight into the moon. That's one thing that puzzles me. Two, why is it that anything that's bigger or larger, they all seem to be about the same depth? Now, don't get me wrong, they can vary a little bit here and there, but when you got a crater that's like a mile wide, that should be a lot deeper. You know what I mean? Because obviously the ejector went out, and you know what I mean? You'll see the rock in the middle. Some of them you don't see anything in the middle. Now, they did say at some point when there was volcanic activity on the moon that these were lava bubbles and that they come up and then just kind of exploded and just left to the side. Okay, but how do you explain the different sides that are flat, like we're talking about? Well, look at most of these look at the size of them. Doesn't matter what size they are, they're almost all the same depth. Now, of course, they're not all the same, but you would think something very large would be much, much deeper because of the impact, and that's not the case. So is this thing actually artificial? Does the moon have like an artificial skin that's like this real hard titanium or much harder? I don't know. Again, because we were talking about, is the moon fake or not fake, but is it is it a natural satellite, or is it just something that's been brought here? Like a lot of ancients talk about the time before the moon. Is it something that was constructed and brought here? We don't know. There's too many weirdness about this moon that just say, just like one of the things is that it's the biggest moon in the solar system to its parent planet. And that's true. So there's just so many inconsistencies. You got the eclipses. It just happens to perfectly cover the sun. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, how do you explain a lot of that?
Well, I certainly can't. But I think there is something to the six-sided thing. And I've had a lot of people send me emails claiming they think they know why, and they'll start going all these mathematics and all. And, it's probably a lot simpler than that. But
yeah.
But I'm just going to say this: we do have creatures here on Earth that build six-sided nests. They're born knowing how to do this, and they're usually things that we don't want to mess with. They're, I would really be afraid to think that a wasp, for example, the wasp nest, ones we have here, the red wasp, they build nests with six-sided. What do you want to call those? That's the way they connect. They're all hexagons.
Like honeycomb or a comb.
Yeah, and bees do the same thing, and then their honeycomb, they're six-sided. They're born knowing how to do that, and it alarms me that, and on another day we'll look at it, that some of these other moons, planets, and even supposed asteroids have these six-sided things on them that there's just, I do not believe they're craters at all. The one on which one of Saturn's moons is it? It almost looks like the Death Star. But if you look at start really looking at that big round object that's on it, you realize it's not round at all. It has six sides to it.
Yep.
I think there's about 3 of their big moons all have one of these on it. And
exactly,
we don't know what this thing is. We don't know what they are. It's not a big crater. Come on, give me a break. There's something else going on here, and we're being kept in the dark.
Let me see here.
We got anybody saying anything we need to know there, Chris? I'll have to go back to a lot of this.
Well, no, I mean, people as I was saying it, they were asking the questions about how is all of these, the craters again look like there's a train. Why is it that they look like they're coming straight in? A lot of these impacts, they don't look like they're like dragged along. And then again, the depth of these things, people need to question this stuff. Now, would they vary a little bit? Sure. But there should be extreme differences. Some of these craters are like I said, they're huge, absolutely huge. And then you get the smaller ones that could be 20 feet across and they're the same depth. How does that make sense? It simply baffles the mind. Now, I will go with the scientific, reasoning when they say, or the theory rather, where they say that if it was in fact lava coming to the top and like bubbles that they just kind of boom and that was it. But again, wouldn't that vary in size as well? Anyone here in the comment section? What do you guys think? Wouldn't that vary as well, or would that all be almost within reason as far as the depth? What do you guys think about that?
Well, John Tobacco says the vibration that the bees and wasps make when they buzz create the hexagonal shape, and this is not a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't, I don't have a problem with that. Still, though, where's this vibration coming from? You know, the vibration they're making, it's natural, but they're a living thing.
Right.
It's just like when you read the NASA's explanation of the rings of Saturn. It says this ring does this to make this happen in the Kepler region, and it keeps it clear. It keeps
Yeah.
it clear for what? They
Mm-hmm.
write it as if it has a function. Are you telling
Right.
me that these satellites going around Saturn have a function? That that
Yeah.
that tells me there's some intelligence.
Well, they're just plows. They keep everything away from
Yeah,
them.
well, we know we've shown that those things. I don't believe they're moons at all, but they really almost code the way they write this stuff. It's a little bit ambiguous to me, but if if um if they are causing an effect, a desired effect, then there's intelligence involved. They don't always write it that it's causing something to happen. It's as if it's a desired effect, and to me
Right.
that means, well, they're saying something here that they're really not going to get into because they can't. And
If you ever looked into the ring makers of Saturn, that's interesting.
yes,
Because it looked like there was rings that were like not finished. It's like somebody was building these things and they just stopped. And then when you look at some of them, they literally have, it looks like there's shadows of something along the edges. Now, what these things are, I don't know. But when you see some of this, you're just kind of like, okay, that's just bizarre. It doesn't make any sense. Let me see. Yeah, the Wookiees was just saying the same thing.
yes, he
Yep.
was.
Yep.
Who are
Renee
these?
Van, you said, but what they tell us about the moon rang like a bell. Can we still believe all of this lies and secrecy? I don't know. Well, it did ring, and that's the thing. And it's I said this before, that it's no coincidence that they brought seismographs up there. They had to have an inkling of this. They probably were digging, because a couple of times they said they were trying to get like a core sample basically out of the lunar surface, and they did everything they could, and they could not get through this. They said, oh, there must have been solid rock under it. Was it solid rock or something else? Again, like another steel skin type thing, and they couldn't get through this. Again, pure speculation. But you got that, and then they dropped. What was it, the last stage or the third stage of the rocket? Literally twice they've done this, slammed it into the actual lunar surface, and this thing rang. Sometimes it's minutes, sometimes it's hours, and they're trying to figure this out. How is it ringing unless it's hollow in some form? Doesn't make sense. So you start putting all these puzzle pieces together, do your research, and you just start going, okay, this moon is not a natural satellite. At least it doesn't appear to be that way.
Here's one of the moons of Saturn. This is Tethys,
Mm-hmm.
and you notice this right here.
Yep.
You know,
Look at the sides to it on the upper right.
oh yeah, here we go again. And down here, I don't know if this is erosion or what. I can't remember how large this is now. We're talking miles. I can't remember if it's miles or hundreds of miles. I've looked at so many moons and so on and so forth. It's big, but we find this on a lot of these.
Yeah.
I believe. Let's see. Okay, we know what this is. This is going to be Iapetus. Now,
Yep.
now this is the moon of Saturn that looks like it's been kind of
It's like
forced.
it's like a nutshell.
Yeah, it looks like
Like
a
they put two of
nutshell.
these sides together.
It looks
Yeah.
fabricated. It's got one of these too, folks. You can see it right here. In fact, if you
Yep.
really look, you can see a distinctive, other than right in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides to that. And if you really get to look at this one, once again, here's a very nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides here with a dot right in
Yep.
the middle. We
Look at the one
see,
to the left of it right there.
yes, look
They
at
got
this,
a straight line going straight through the center,
right through the
and look
center
at
of
the
it.
top of it.
Yes.
Is that natural?
Well, we don't know what we're talking about. That is Iapetus. Yeah, this is. I'm not going to take credit for this. Someone else did this, and somebody will have to tell me who did this work. I'd love to give them credit, but they pulled out the fact that there is some sort of a device sticking out of the. I'm not going to say a device. It would be quite large, like a tower, sticking out of this moon.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody tell me who found that. I don't know. There's a good shot of Iapetus. More of Iapetus. Uh, this is one of them. Yeah, of course they say looks like the Death Star. And actually, there is a ring all the way around it as if it's been halved together. That's why they call this the Death Star, because then it looks like, the Death Star's guns and all here. But actually, these are six-sided, large, and here's that other one with the dot right in the middle. Folks, I hope everybody realizes that this it's just a little bit too much coincidence. We're not even going to get into these guys. I just want to show the round ones right now, because what I'm interested is at this point is these craters and the things that are sitting in them. Are they craters? Are they man-made? Even on Prometheus, which is another subject in itself, we find odd-shaped craters. And the thing is, we never see these things being made.
Right.
I mean, nobody ever sees them being made, and the excuse is always, well, it happened way back in. They don't really know it. All this is based on, scientific theories built on some fact. Yes, there's some fact at the source of most of this stuff,
Oh yeah.
but then
Absolutely.
they, you know, people make errors, and that's not discovered for maybe decades. But then by then, you've had model after model or paradigms built on top of these things, and they're not going to go back and fix it. There's too much ego, there's too much money, there's too much paperwork. That's just the way it works. Sometimes that's the way history's written too. Sorry, but that's just the way it works. So when we say we're bringing you the truth, we really don't know what the truth is, but that's what we're after, I guess. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, I mean, to me, it's just bringing out anomalous, and like I said, anomalous just means anything that stands out from its surroundings, and or just something weird. We can always speculate as to what it could be or what caused it. I'm not an astrophysicist, but I find some of these things really odd, like the depth of the and the craters on the moon, the way that they all seem to be coming in straight in as opposed to at an angle. There's just so many things, and then when you find the things that are on the moon, we weren't the only ones there. I can promise you that. Just really, really scrutinize them photos. I don't care from what Apollo mission or the LROC photos, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter camera. Just look at those. This is where the one I showed you showed in the last hangout, where there were these two large structures, but that wasn't the only thing. I had the structures in the back. I had them in the front. They were stretched out and sprawled out on the surface. Is it coincidence that these things are there, and it's not just lunar hills? It's not just craters. It's not just dust. It's much more on our moon than we'll ever know, and we're only seeing bits and pieces of it. So, that's why I always encourage people. Listen, I found this stuff. I give you the link to it. Go check it out yourself. I encourage everybody to look at it. Come up to their own. Let them look at it. Let them digest it, and then make your own decision as what you think it is, or come to your own conclusions as to what you may. I'm sure you trust your own eyes. Now, you may not know what it is exactly. You can just take guesses as to what it is, but nonetheless, it stands out. It's not natural. It's as simple as that.
And one of the things that we've tried to explain to everyone is how these accidents could happen, why they would hide this stuff from us. You can only imagine, but why these accidents would happen. Why, as you know, we're really big into finding the truth about Mars. We know there was a civilization there, and sometimes I think one of the most common questions asked there is, why release any images at all? Why do they even release them if they've got to hide the stuff? And
Right.
I think you would probably say the same thing as I would here. The simplest answer to that is because they have to.
Yeah.
They've got their butts in a bind before, I believe, from some scientists and whatnot. They were wanting the imagery, and
Yeah.
so they. I don't know if there's any checks and balances here. I don't know who's watching this, but they have to release them, and so they're skewed. They're obfuscated. We got to
Yeah.
figure. I wish there was a shorter word for that, because it just doesn't fit into my. I know we draw out words down here sometimes. You know, we'll make several syllables where they don't exist down here. So
Yeah.
obfuscate, man, is killing me. But good gosh, there's 17
Well, and
syllables.
first and foremost, we have to understand we're not the first ones to see these photos.
That's true.
These are scientists, these are archaeologists, these are all kinds of scientists in their own fields seeing the moon photos, the Martian photos, and any other photos they're gathering from whatever planets and moons from our solar system. We're not the first ones to see this, guys. So once they see it, they'll copy it into a low res. So this way you can't really see many details. It'll be complete trash as far as any kind of details in the photos. And then on top of that, you can see manipulation. So the manipulating and censoring these photos. Now, some people, I've had people, say the same thing in the past. Oh, I don't think that's true. This, that, and the other. It's like, all I ask, just go look at the photos. And then I bring it out and I show the absolute, put a lot of these photos into raw plating. And you can see the actual censoring going on. You can literally see the blurring, and there's no detail at all in that section. So, Nitro FZ1, you can call BS all you like, but here's the thing. When you literally analyze these photos and see it, question to you, why would any photo be censored at all? These are public. Now, keep in mind, NASA claims that these are raw photos coming from the moon, Mars. Why censor it? There's no reason it should be censored. It should be coming right out of the camera, transmitted to Earth. Here you go, guys. Here's the public for you to look at and whatever. So if they're censoring a photo, what would be the reason? There should be no reason for it. They're raw photos. It's like me, and I've said this before. The analogy is a simple analogy. If I'm selling my car and I don't want nobody to know where I live or whatever, I block out my license plate. So in other words, there's a motive behind it to blur out that particular plate. Why would you do that to a normal photo or to a photo of a planet that's a cold, barren, dead planet? Why would you feel the need to do that? Or to the moon, for that matter. It's nothing but cold, dust, and darkness. What would be the reason?
And we've all seen the people that will say, that's not being blotted out. That's just an accident. That's just a digital anomaly. That's just blah, 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 blah. Man, you talk about somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not what it is. And trying to convince us that, well, the pictures are coming from a long way. You guys don't understand. Things get lost. No, I expect fidelity. We know what happens to digital imagery. When you don't get transmission, you don't get anything. You got to have it. You got to have it all, folks. Okay, you got to have it all or you get nothing. That's why you'll have little black spots, little black boxes and this and that where something doesn't come through. You don't get blurs. There's no such a thing as sending digital imagery and receiving it, encoding it and decoding it, and it turning blurred without something in between there blurring it intentionally. That's not what goes on. You're not losing data that blurs it. That's just ridiculous. And I keep seeing that over and over again. And the thing is, they say that is because people will believe it.
Right.
And I'm going to say this one more time. We won't be on here much longer. That people that hear this all the time, it's something I came up with a long time ago. And I'm afraid that the movies that we see out there in the television shows messes with people's minds because it's something I call the Independence Day effect. When something such as the movie Independence Day is so absurd.
Yes.
But is it?
But is it?
Yeah. But is it? Because I got upset with that movie and I read the book.
Yeah.
Because of this supposed virus that this guy just sat down and wrote and injected into an alien system they knew nothing about and it worked. Absurd. Is that absurd?
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, though, what really happened was that they could not. It's what made up our atmosphere that they couldn't breathe in. It's what killed them because we have our normal germs in the air.
No. You're on the wrong movie. You're thinking War of the Worlds.
No. All right, you're right. I'm thinking of what do you call it? I'm thinking of good Lord,
War of the Worlds, the original War of the
Worlds. War of the
Worlds.
Yes. Yeah. You're right. Go ahead.
Oh man,
yeah.
No, there was no problem with that. That was much.
You're talking about Independence. Yeah. Okay.
And you go.
But they uploaded the virus to the mothership.
And you go back to the original radio show of War of the Worlds. People were jumping out of buildings and stuff. They believed what was going on. That's why you see now this is not real. This is not a real news broadcast. Okay, so let's go to Independence Day. And I call this Independence Day paradox, is because there's something so absurd, but is it? Because when I say, man, I can't believe that people are going to believe that he just wrote a computer virus and stuck it into something he knows nothing about their language, nothing about just that. I mean, it's ridiculous,
Just
it's
corrupted the whole
absurd.
their computer
And if
system. Yeah.
someone looked at me and said, "But you're not complaining that there's an alien invasion?" I said, "Who's to say that can't happen?
Yeah.
How do we know that can't happen? I understand it's just a movie, but who's
Yeah.
to say? You have not proven to me that we couldn't have an alien invasion. You haven't proven that it can't happen. But I have proven to myself,
Yep.
because I know something about it, this part of it doesn't happen. This part does not happen." Okay,
Yeah.
so to me, the Independence Day effect is when there's something that is understood by a few that completely ruins something, but to most of the people they just go right by it.
Yep.
That's what happens out here in real life now. It happens all the time. You look at the news, look at the
Oh yeah.
politics in the United States right now. There's stuff going by us all the time. It looks like stuff that you would see in the movies, but you never know what to believe, and a lot of the people are believing it. It is so ridiculous. It's because, I mean, I hate to say dumbed down, but that's all I can say. And I'm not going to say that some of it doesn't slip past me. There's plenty of things that I don't understand that I'm probably seeing it as fact when there's some scientists over here looking at it going, "Oh God, that's ridiculous. That can't happen."
Yep.
But you know, it's
Well, I think
easy
it's the
to
movies too that.
discredit things to a lot of people when they don't understand, when they've never worked with computers, they've never worked with digital imagery, that they've never
Right.
done any of this stuff, and they want to tell us that's a pixel. I've actually been told that that's a pixel. That's what you're saying.
Yep.
That's a pixel. I see, man. There's so many pixels on here right now that I can't even count them. Do you see
Well,
those
speaking of
pixels?
pixels, this is what's really bizarre. Now, a lot of people will say that, like you're saying about pixels. Now, if you remember, they always claim that Mars is very cold, that's below zero, which it's not. Um, and if you read up on it and research it, it can be anywhere between 70 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit at the
Yes.
equatorial region
Yes.
on Mars. Now, what's funny about it, and I'll tell you how that it proves that that's true, because you can see some photos, colored photos, that actually have um, there's pixels, burnt pixels in the picture. You know how that
Mm-hmm.
happens? When the camera heats up. When a camera overheats, it can literally start to show burnt pixels in the photo. So it goes to show that clearly the temperature gets up a lot higher. In fact, they said they
Mm-hmm.
found it went up to 104 degrees in the shade in one of the Curiosity photos, or one of the description of it said that they had a record temperature, I think it was, from the weather station of Curiosity. So, I mean, what they're telling the public, and then when you really get in and you really look at these photos, it tells a whole different story. Like again, the moon's nothing, but yet we could find structures and what look like dilapidated spacecraft or some kind of weird stuff that's intelligently made. Wait a minute, that's not what the mainstream's telling us. So what's going on here? Again, when you start getting into these things, you just wow, what they tell you and what you can actually research, two different things. You're just gonna say, why does it conflict so much? Well, there's a reason for it, because they're not telling the whole truth.
Yeah, and they've had two different problems with how to hide all this from the lunar missions to now, because now there's so much media, there's so much imagery, and it's digital as opposed to the analog film that they just packed away back then. They're having a lot more difficult time now, and there's a lot of mistakes made, and that's what we try to show in the Mars imagery, which we will be getting back to.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm on Mars most of the time because there's just a lot of there's so many images to look at, and there's so many mistakes that are made, and
Yep.
that's what we try to put on MarsFam.net is uh, we try to add to the imagery that there's just really no mistake in it. Even with the obfuscation that you can see going on, that wasn't masked very well. There's things there that should not be there if the planet is what they say it was. And
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you think about that, Chris? I mean, it's you can look at one or two pictures that aren't very good and say there's nothing there, or you can do what we've done and gone through thousands of them and said, you know what? I can't believe there's people that don't realize that something's going on here.
Nope. Well, I mean, I've got a couple of my. If you go to the my channel, you can look up proof of photos being censored or manipulated. And I've got one that's so obvious when you look at it. Again, I take the photo, put it into raw plating, and you can see this. I mean, it literally squares. Like they almost look like compression artifacts, but they click, 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 click. They put it in any way they want, and it's completely white, like it's blurred. There is absolutely no information in that part of the photo. And they'll do this to a lot. And just like I was saying about the Antarctica video I got coming out, it shows the whole damn side of this mountain is the same way. And again, these photos are owned by NASA. So surprise, surprise. So again, we're being repressed. Our origins or past Earth or whatever it may be, it's being suppressed on a level people just can't understand. And I think people are starting to get more and more awakened to the fact, and they're saying, "Listen, I've been doing my own homework and my own research." And a lot of times they'll agree with me, but they'll say there'll be some variances, which is fine. They're doing their own homework, and just for that alone, we've done our job to get people to start doing this themselves. Like I say on my videos, I'm not there to cram it down anybody's throat. I don't want anybody to be spoon fed. No, I bring it to you guys. We analyze the photo. We say, listen, this is what I believe it is. Again, pure speculation because we cannot pick it up. We can't smell it, taste it. We can't do any of that. So there's no way of truly vetting what we're seeing there. But clearly it is something intelligent made, whether it's on the moon or on Mars. So if it's intelligently made, two questions. First of all, why is it on Mars? Two, what the hell is it? So, and it's the same way it applies to the moon. So what's going on here? And that's what people need to start waking up to. And I always give them the link like you do. You'll give links and stuff like that so people can check these things out for themselves and go, maybe they're saying, these guys are full of crap. Okay, go look at the photo.
Right.
Go look at it and make your own decisions.
Yeah, and if the link doesn't show up for this, listen. These moon images that I put forth here, you can find at the Lunar and Planetary Institute. If you just look that up on Google, Lunar and Planetary Institute, and go into their archives, they put it all up in there. And as far as I know, it's all still there, including the ones from this last one that just, I don't know if they took it down. Would it be admitting anything? I don't know. I know that they know that it's there now. But as far as I know, you can still download those. If you didn't see the last episode, go back and look and see what we're talking about. You want to get that for yourself. That's the Lunar and Planetary Institute. That's where they're archived. And if you have information or ideas that you want to share about the moon, especially right now, we want to talk about these six-sided shapes that we're seeing, like the one that it was partially six-sided, the one that Chris was showing. It's like a stop sign with a rounded lower half that's raised. If you have some ideas on this or some images that you found that we should be looking at, you can send those either to me at jimmy@marsfam.net or Chris. What's your contact, Chris?
Oh, mine's simple. Mine's Mars Anomalies at AOL.com.
Yeah, Mars Anomalies at AOL.com. And you're going to want to, if you're not subscribed to Chris's channel, make sure you go over there and do that. It's Mars Anomalies and Beyond. And he really does go beyond. We're on the moon and Mars primarily, it seems like, and a lot of Antarctica lately. But I think it all ties together because it's all stuff that we just don't understand. And we really feel that there's a lot to learn that we have not been allowed to learn up to this point. And sometimes I feel like our ancestors going back umpteen generations, Chris, might have known more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you?
Yeah. I mean,
whomever built the pyramids, I don't know who built them. They keep changing. They keep changing this.
We're under the impression the Egyptians built it, but it's like I said in my feed last night. I said, okay, they're saying that the Egyptians built it, but then you're getting a conflicting story that the Egyptians came along and found it.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So it's kind of like I believe it was the Mayan structures, where what they're finding is that they're the original pyramid, but guess what? It's been built on 2 or 3 times. Yeah. So wait a minute. So the original goes back thousands of years, and then it's been built over again and again, meaning on top of it, where it's layered. Okay, so who's doing that, and what was the original? Where did it come from? So, and again, we've got some of these pyramids where they said, how like it's got like the step pyramids, and they're not perfect. It's almost like they were trying to get it, like they were trying to simulate the actual real pyramids that are pretty much perfect, or at least back in the day they were, as far as the pyramids of Giza. Now you can see all these step ones, like they tried like hell to build them and they couldn't do it. They couldn't simulate what the real builders, how they did it. And they tried and tried again and they could not do it. This is the reason why a lot of them say that's why they look just so distorted and they're not right. But, was it the real Egyptians that were there prior? And of course, they had all of their stuff on the cartouche or, on the walls, and they had all this, drawings and petroglyphs and, all this other good stuff. But again, our past is being suppressed. Why? I don't know. But like I said, that piece with the Antarctica itself, that to me is mind blowing, because again, why aren't they showing that about, it's an ancient civilization, right? Why aren't they showing that just like they've done the Mayans, the Egyptians, so on and so forth? Because it's not just stone structures. It appears to be modern, like modern day stuff, and it looks like a lot of it has collapsed due to the weight and the snow and everything else of the ice. And it's not unfathomable to believe that at one time before ice covered Antarctica, that they had civilizations living there. But, like Sarah was saying, her thesis, she's saying it was like because they did the soil samples and found out that there's a lot of metals in there, that there was industrialization on Antarctica, So I go, okay. So, and from these tests, they're saying that they were probably 96,000 years old, if not longer. Now, I don't do the test. I don't know. But that's what she got when they ran the test. And I think she said she spent a little, just under $11,000 to have these done.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's
about
insane.
$12,000. Right.
So, I mean, when you think about it, just those, and she's got all of the test and all the results and everything, and all the equipment that they've used is all in her thesis. So, you just go, okay, so that alone, whoever's trying to hide this, they just put a nail in their coffin, because that, to me, proves that one, there was industrialization. So there was people there, but who were they? 96,000 years ago? Wow. So, like I said, we're just learning how to walk. Our civilization just learned how to walk and crawl. And we're just going, wow, look at all the new things around us. This is neat. Now we want to learn more. We want to know more. So this is the reason why all of a sudden there's this mad rush, big bum rush to go out and go to different planets, moons, the whole nine. There's a reason for it. We've seen something and we just can't get enough now. That's all there is to it. I want to find out more about our origins. That's why I love the movie Prometheus so much.
Right.
Good movie.
Well, y'all go to the Lunar and Planetary Institute website and dig around, and if you can find some stuff, let us know. We'll include you. We'll give you full credit. We're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing this for you. And yeah, we can use help. I love emails. So Jimmy at marsfam.net or Mars Anomalies and Beyond at AOL.com. We'll go to Chris or visit his channel and subscribe to us both, and hit the bell, because I do understand there's been issues, and this is something that's not our fault. I know our videos don't always show up. People aren't alerted to them, but all I can say is make sure when you subscribe that you've also hit that bell, because if you don't, it may not let you know. So I'm not going to say, I know there's definitely, I'm not going to say a conspiracy, but there's definitely an effort to keep our videos, our channels from developing anymore for about the past, what was it, year and a half is when that happened? April?
Oh, I'd say,
year and a half ago. Yeah, that did occur. And we're not the only ones.
They changed the algorithm is what they did.
Yeah,
and
they changed it.
This is what I laughed at, is that they'll claim that you fall into the conspiracy theory. Okay. Well, what happens if you can prove it with fact? Is it still conspiracy? I don't think so.
Well, and the
Now,
thing is, they didn't necessarily.
You can't prove it. Well, that's different.
They didn't have a problem with the conspiracy theory stuff before, but supposedly they were cleaning up the internet. And now we got guys like Cyman Dan. Yeah. Well, he's made another video about me now. Someone alerted to me too a month or two. I guess it was in August. Says this guy's still seeing rocks on Mars. Yeah, whatever.
Listen. I mean, I get the idea that he's looking at the science view of it, and I'm down with science. I love science. I love everything. I'm a nerd myself, and I believe a lot what science is saying is absolutely true. But they're not telling the whole truth as far as NASA. They're not telling the whole truth what they're finding. Now, a lot of the stuff we see is absolutely rocks, and then there's things that are sticking out from rocks, or things that are laying next to rocks. things that are, back in the background, which is just doesn't make any sense. There's stuff standing out that is anomalous
Mhm.
and it needs to be addressed. And it's no different than what we're seeing on the moon. It's just crazy, crazy stuff. Now, if we start from Earth, in other words, we got all these ancient civilizations, and if Antarctica is showing this stuff, and like I said, that video should go on tonight. Maybe I'll have to wait till tomorrow to get it on there. I told everybody today, but I got to do things after we get off here. But
Am I
so
holding
you
you
say,
up?
okay, huh?
Am I holding you up?
Oh no, not the least bit. No, I'm just saying it's a leisure things I
It
need to
doesn't
do,
matter
but I
here.
need to get them done. But anyway, so you say, okay, if they're hiding that stuff in Antarctica, what's really going on?
Right.
The hiding stuff on the moon that isn't ours, the hiding stuff on Mars. So what is going on here? Why is the public left in the dark? They don't want us to know what's really going on, and only the elites know this stuff, and we're just left in the dark. Jimmy, myself, and anybody else does this work. Like you've got Jean Ward doing this. Dave from X3D,
Dave Gannett,
Mars
yes.
X3D. You've got so many people are doing this stuff, and just fabulous work, just awesome work. And it's like, we're trying to get this stuff out, and we're only seeing a portion of it, guys. Only a portion. What you see is just bits and pieces of what what's really out there. But we're lucky enough to be able to drag this stuff out and find it. So, that's what it's all about.
Yes, and people like Sam Mandan, and what he's doing is he's making his fun of flat earthers and me a lot. And that's
Which I don't
okay.
blame them there. Oh,
Yeah, well, but nothing great ever came of those just spreading academia, being a tool for academia.
yeah,
It's the
yeah,
ones who came out and questioned what they were being told already.
right.
People like Copernicus and whomever and this that 300 years ago that went around with a beeper on his leg, had under house arrest. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. If you went against what science said or what religion said, and a lot of times it was under the same rule, then you were going to be persecuted in one way or the other. And these guys really, were risking a lot when they would came out and went, especially if you went against the church, because they
Oh God,
in a
yeah.
lot of areas. But science and church pretty much intertwined, and it probably should be, but not in the manner that it has. If that makes any sense, I think that
Mm,
might make sense to a lot of people. But these people risked their lives to go against science, and I guess that can still happen.
yeah,
When you get to that point, it's not going to be science anymore. It's going to be a governing entity at that point.
right.
It's not going to be science anymore. You've got guys like Simon Dan that's looks at something, then says, basically, he'll read from something. You can have winds of more than 60 miles per hour on Mars. Don't you think that's a better explanation? Really? Really?
Yeah.
Winds of 60 miles per hour are going to carve out this stuff? Create metal, make these 90-degree angles. I mean, it's just,
I mean, don't get me wrong. Mother Nature. I've said this before. Mother Nature is very crafty, even
very,
here on Earth. She can do that. But when you start to see like something in a photo that has basically all kinds of shapes, meaning squares with 90 degrees, you got perfect circles or orbs. Then you got like what looks like triangular things, like all these little pieces on the ground. You go, okay, is that made by Mother Nature? And if that's true, if it's just wind doing this, then why isn't a lot of this stuff eroded?
right.
Should have wind erosion. You shouldn't have any sharp corners at all. Think about that a minute, Mr. Simon Dan. I mean, think about that a minute. There's no reason why you should have that. Everything should be like worn, beat, basically rounded. It's kind of like water erosion, right? You put it like a pebble in there or some kind of rock, and after so many years, I mean, it'll become rounded and smooth. So it's like going in there and say, well, no, this is natural to find a square piece sitting in the bottom of a river that's been running there for thousands of years. Why would you find that? Unless it was thrown in there recently.
That's rubbish.
Something that doesn't,
It's just a bunch of scattered rocks. It's a bunch
yeah,
of
that's all it
scattered
is.
rocks.
Yeah.
It's rubbish.
That's,
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Whatever,
you
son,
know,
man.
some people just lack just common sense. And it's just like, it makes you wonder. It's like, you know, like you said, it's like he's just saying it's rocks. Okay. And he's talking about the wind. Well, they claim the wind can get up to 300 miles an hour. But because of the atmosphere and the gravity and everything else that makes up the atmosphere, It's only probably about maybe a 30-mile-an-hour wind here on Earth. But let's just say it is 300 miles an hour. You should not see sharp edges, especially if it's being battered and it's basically being in like a sandblaster. 300-mile-an-hour winds. I wouldn't want to be standing out there when it's 300-mile-an-hour winds with sand blowing everywhere. It would sandblast, and you wouldn't have any corners whatsoever. So that theory goes out the window, as far as I'm concerned.
As far as I'm concerned, too. We're going to get out of here on that. I want everyone to remember to go to Chris's channel, Mars Anomalies and Beyond.
And don't forget the other one too. I've got, in fact, Leron, I think his name was. He says, "Does Chris have a channel?" If you're more into the moon, I've got Lunar Anomalies and Beyond.
Oh, that's right.
And you've also got Mars Anomalies and Beyond. Now, I have put one of that one I showed, that last moon photo that we did in the last, hangout. I put that on my Mars Anomalies because it has more viewers on there. So I wanted to put it there so a lot more people could see this. But the majority, 99% of my moon videos are on Lunar Anomalies and Beyond. So I got the two channels to check out.
So go to both of them. Lunar Anomalies and Beyond, Mars Anomalies and Beyond. And, of course, this is the real Jimmy Roberts one. Here you go to marsfam.net. And we have, there's videos on there, which have the links and so on and so forth to the images that you saw here today. If you don't want to put that in your Google search engine, go over to marsfam.net and go to the It's Not a Moon, or That's No Moon. That's what it is. That's No Moon. And you'll see the videos for Apollo 13 are there. There was a video made of that, and it has the links to it, I do believe. And make sure you email me or Chris, Jimmy at marsfam.net, or Chris at Mars Anomalies and Beyond at yahoo.com, and give us pictures, explanations, anything that you think might need to be seen by the people, and we will put it on my channel, his channel, our channel.
There's one thing that people have to understand. It's like I say this to my own subscribers. I said, I'm no different than you guys. We're not special. We're not special to anybody out here.
Oh, you're different.
Anything we do, you guys can also do. We're not special people here. All we do is research, bring this stuff out, and I have a lot of my subs doing the same thing. And I tell them, listen, I'm no different than you guys. I'm not higher up than you guys. I do the same things you guys can do. And I say, listen, get Photoshop, look into this stuff yourself. It's not like going, wow, I could never be able to do this. These guys must be brilliant. No, we're just knowledgeable, but that doesn't mean what we do can't be, repeated or done yourselves. That's all there is to it. So, when you see the stuff yourself, like I said, if you want to send us this, you find this important, maybe a photo, like he's saying, send it to one of us and say, hey, what do you think about these? Because we find the photos the same way you guys do. We don't have a special source that just comes out of nowhere and go, wow, we got special photos more than these public can get. No, we're getting the photos from the internet like you guys are getting. So understand that. So if you got something you believe is of paramount importance, send it to one of us. We'll check it out. And, you might find your work on one of the channels. And of course you'll get, full credit for it, for bringing it to us, and, go from there.
That's right. Unless we're broadcasting together, then we'll each give you half credit.
There you go.
That makes a whole. Yeah. Yeah, I gave it up as a comedian.
Well,
listen, we're gonna
David Fox's special sauce. Well, I don't mean like special sauce like a ketchup. I mean like a special sauce where we're getting the videos from, or the photos rather. We don't have a source out there that says, okay, just you guys can have these. The rest of the people on the planet cannot. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a source where you can get these photos from NASA, JPL.
Unless I'm streaming after 9. Unless I'm streaming after 9, I may be drinking sauce after 9, y'all. People, but
yeah, that can happen.
And not him, but I may be. So you
got to go easy on that. You don't want to fall down on the bridge there and hurt yourself.
That can't happen on red wine. Listen, everybody, we'll be back again. I'm going to try to sort out the things that went wrong earlier today, and we weren't going to stay on here long, but we just can't help it. We like talking to you, and
that's Chris, a great bunch of people out here.
Yeah, there really is. And Chris will be, he's going to be back live Friday. Is that correct? He goes live every Friday?
Yeah. Friday evenings at 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
Every Friday. And we always have great people on there. We talk about all kinds of topics, mostly space, of course, or anything we covered in videos during the week. So, yeah, feel free to join us there too.
And I'm still sorting things out here, so I don't know when I go live again. We'll figure that out. And everyone, y'all have a good Sunday and rest of the week. Chris has got a video to work on, I believe. Is
Yep.
that what you said? And
Yeah, video, and I've got that other the full length or the full
yes,
yeah, I guess a full length thesis coming out, so
right.
people can actually grab it themselves, grab the video itself, and archive it if they want to. So
Yeah,
awesome.
and everyone needs to, because I have a feeling something may happen.
Well, I'm thankful. I mean, Julia has said, and I told her this. I emailed her after, she was on my live feed yesterday. I said, thank you very much for because she did contribute to the channel, and she helped a couple other people out. But she said that she's paid up until 2025 on that site
Right now,
to
yeah.
keep Sarah's work up, which is just absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic. And I
originally it
couldn't
was only
thank her
going to
enough.
be 2021, and then it has been bumped up now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
yeah, that's good.
So, which is awesome because people need to see this work.
They do.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Sarah basically willed herself to live long enough to complete that. And I
I
don't
think that's
talk
exactly what happened.
I don't talk about it much. I've let you do it, and you've done an excellent job. And these people that we talk about, like Julia, they were very close to the matter, and we really appreciate them staying in communication with us. But yes, Sarah Michelle Lafernier basically willed herself. Probably, I think she lived longer than she thought she was going to. But she told me over and over she was going to finish that. She was going to
Oh yeah.
finish that thesis if it was the last thing she did, and she said, and it may be. So
And
there's
she
a
was
lot.
pretty accurate.
She was
And
very
like I
accurate.
said, it was just she had like a lot of people she talked to, including like Josh D, a lot of people in here, where they were in communication with her. Just and everybody said that she's nothing but wonderful, but great researcher. My God, and it's a shame because she could be doing so much more. And she's also got I think Julie wants to put it out. It's got to do with 9/11, and so that's going to be coming out too. So, but the just to work on Antarctica alone is phenomenal. And like I said, it just tells you, and you say, man, the basically the human race is missing out on this information, and it's not right. And like I said, when I break down these photos, like I said, that video, I may not be able to do it this evening. I wanted to get it out, but I might just say the heck with it, do it tomorrow, finish up and get it out. And but either way, I'll be out this weekend. And
Yeah,
but if you get a chance to check it out, definitely check it out.
yeah. And on that 9/11 thing, uh, the only thing I'm going to say about that is, because really the only thing I'm going to say about that is her mother did die
Yep.
in 9/11, and Sarah was injured. She was there.
Yep.
She was out on the street, and she was injured and getting shoved under by a policeman, I believe, shoved down to the ground.
Yep.
Had a head injury back when she was 6 years old, and her mother did die. And
Yep.
it's a big deal. It's a real
This is the
big
reason why it hit very
deal.
hard at
Yeah,
home
yeah,
for her. And so it was a damn shame to see that kind of thing happen. And she was there to view it all and
yep,
see it.
yep.
So I can't say enough about her, man. It's just awesome. I mean, what she's things that she's gone through, and then of course the end result, her passing on from cancer, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that should have happened.
And
That's all.
for those of you that have come on primarily Chris's channel, I'm not gonna name any names and talk trash.
Yep.
Did you ever see that a Game of Thrones episode? What is that? That's a new word. Write that down. Episode where Cersei was walking down street and getting shamed. Shame,
Mhm.
shame.
Yep.
That's you. For
Yep.
those of you that have come on and talked trash about what you don't know what you're talking about, shame. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, or you should be forced to watch it for a week straight. My wife hates that saying.
Keep
Shame.
your eyes perfectly open.
Naked, walking down the street. Shame, shame. That's you. That's you. That's what I
Yep.
think of you when you come in here talking that. So get out of here with that, because it's a very serious thing. But
Yeah.
Chris, let's get out of here. I'm gonna beam you out of here. Uh, Everybody, look for Chris next week. Look for him Friday, and whenever he comes out with that other video, you really need to watch it. And I'll be back soon. And yes, we've got more on Mars coming. Those of you are asking, don't worry, we have not abandoned Mars. We just wanted to. It's not a break. We just wanted to hop over here to the moon, because we had some really good stuff we wanted to get out here. But I've got to get some things straightened out here. We've had a lot of people
Mhm.
on here watching today. We thank everyone for dropping in. And
Yep.
Chris, I'm going to let you say adios in whatever manner you would like to.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody being on here. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of people that are from my channel, and I know they're sub to you as well. So they're just awesome people. We have a great community on ours, and I know you do too. And I know you just started doing this, but you can always see the good people on there. Of course, you'll get a couple bad apples. That happens. But really, really, 99%, yeah, about 99% of people are just awesome people, and they're like-minded, just like you and I, and they're just about the truth. And you'll get that large handful of people that want to share what you're sharing and want to talk about what you're talking about. That's what makes them awesome. And because I know a lot of people would tell me, listen, man, I love to be able to talk about it with my family and friends, but they look at me like I got five eyes or something like that. And I said, listen, but and they just feel so much more comfortable here because they know they could talk about with like-minded people. So when you get a great community like this, it's just awesome. And so that's why I said, I always tell people on my channel, go to Jimmy's, because he's got great work and he tries to bring out and just what he believes to be the truth, and this is what it is. And that's what it's all about. And again, you guys get the final say. You guys say, well, I agree with him or I don't, and there's nothing wrong with disagreeing. We're all human beings here. People have done it on my channel. It's okay, and I still give them the love heart. Like thank you, and I acknowledge them, and because everybody will see things slightly differently, but it's still anomalous regardless. So yeah, I appreciate everybody being out here. Don't forget to nail that thumbs up button. It helps YouTube share these things. So go ahead and hit it before you take off. And that's pretty much it. Much love to everybody out there.